Hello everybody and welcome to another vlog. Now before I start, I just want to say I've not gone mad. It is still before Christmas as I'm recording this, but I'm just getting ahead of my content. So this will be uploaded after Christmas, so I'm not going to wish you a Merry Christmas, but I hope you've had a good one. But for me, that's still there. Also, you'll notice I'm in different surroundings. I'm in a new house, so I have moved to Congleton recently. Now this room is still very empty, still needs a bit of furnishing, so unfortunately the acoustics aren't great, so forgive the sound quality for not quite being as clean as normal, but hopefully we'll still get the point. Today's lesson, really, to go with the blog, the link to which is in the description, it's about pedaling, and it's really to help you get a nice clean pedal sound. So what does the pedal on the right, so the sustain pedal, what does it do? So basically it holds the note on for you. That's the really simple answer there. So if I were to play any old note, let's choose like that one there, for example, and just keep it held down for as long as I possibly can, it would still be sounding. You might not be able to hear that on the camera now, but it's still faintly there. There's still a faint sound there. Now, if I were to do exactly the same thing, or if I were to jump off that note, but with the pedal down, then you would hear exactly the same thing. So effectively, the pedals negated the need for me to hold that down, which means that I can create incredibly complex textures at the piano, thanks to the sustain pedal. But you have to be able to use it properly. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we are sat correctly at the piano. So posture is an important thing anyway, you know, the whole straight back, get this far away, you know, all those old things are going to come into play, definitely. We want to be sat in front of middle C. This is information that you already know, but this is especially important for the pedals because it will allow us to be able to position our feet either above the pedals so that they're ready to pedal, or if we're just resting them, just to either side of them, so that, you know, we can easily swivel on the heel. So thanks to technology, you obviously can't see my feet right now, but thanks to technology, I am going to cut over to a separate video to help me demonstrate the next point, which is really, we're going to get your feet used to working. So if we take a look at my feet now, the heel is more or less directly aligned with their respective pedals. You know, don't worry about the middle one. Not all pianos have a middle one, but they certainly have two, at least, one on the left, one on the right. So your left foot heel is in front of the left one, and your right foot heel is more or less in front of the right one. And basically, what we want to be able to do is swivel on the heel quite cleanly to above the pedal, so that when we need to use it, we can do it with a very, very swift motion. And then needless to say, when we actually push the pedal down, we want to do it on the heel. So we don't want to take our whole foot off the ground, we just want to up and down using the heel. A bit like you'd expect from any kind of pedal, really. So what you want to do first is take a little bit of time to familiarise yourself with the movement of your particular pedal. So just doing that same sort of exercise, just choose any random note and just hold the pedal down and just gradually lift it up and find the spot at which it actually cancels it all out altogether. Because you might find that it's before the pedal is fully lifted, and that's important because it gives you a sort of familiarity. It's important to get to know the pedals that you're working with a little bit, because obviously if you were to take the pedal all the way to the top, if you were to do that too fast, which you often do have to do in music, you get this sort of, I don't know how well that picks up on the camera, but you've got this reverberation. There's an awful lot of stuff at play inside of this case here. So when you start being a bit too hard with it or lifting it and letting it hit the frame, then it just becomes a little bit sort of, a little bit loud, a little bit clunky. So do get familiar with how far you need to push it down to get the sustain, and how gently you might be pushing it as well, and how far you need to take it up to cancel that sustain, because if you don't need to take it up all the way, so much the better, because quite often you need to take it up and put it immediately back down. So that will help that. So we're going to move on to a few exercises really, and this is just a sort of repetitive note exercise really. So in a bar of 4/4, we're going to take a random note. I'm going to use middle C, you can use whatever note you want, and I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. But every fourth note I'm actually going to turn into a staccato note like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. However, I still want it to sound like this, but with a staccato note. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to put the pedal down at the same time, and then I'm going to lift it up when I get back to note 1. So the pedal is going to go down and up exactly at the same time as the note. So start tapping it out on the floor, use the floor as a guide first before you actually incorporate the pedal. Some people find that easy because the pedal is three-dimensional, and sometimes that can throw a little bit of a, it can make you go a little bit, it can scare a few people initially. So use the floor at first if you want to, but then when you're ready to move on to the pedal, what you're looking to do is 1, 2, 3, pedal down and up, down, up, so that you're getting that same consistency. So you can see that my thumb's clearly jumping off, but I'm still getting the note length like that. And then if I just slightly complexify that and ever so slightly make it beats 2 and 4. So 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can hear that I'm getting a fairly clean sound out of it. I'm getting it fairly consistent. I'm getting it fairly together. And also the pedal isn't making any unnecessary noises. So it's a really, really simple exercise, that. And moving on from that, what we can then start to do is to assume that the pedal isn't always going to be that regular, if you like. So what we'll do is exactly the same exercise in terms of our right hand, but what we're going to do is keep the pedal held down for the first 2 notes, which are going to be staccato, and then lift it up for the 3rd note, and then down again for notes 4, which will then bleed over into the next one because we're going to repeat. So effectively what our hand is doing is staccato, staccato, down, staccato, 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 down, staccato. And what our foot's going to do is go down, stay down, up, down, stay down, up, down, stay down, up, down, stay down, up, down, stay down. And it's going to be like that basically. Make sure that you've got a regular rhythm, a regular pulse to it, and that way you'll be sure that you're doing it definitely as well. But really, there's no trickery here. It's going down on the beat, it's coming up on the beat. Don't forget that when you hear your favourite song on the radio, you naturally tap your feet along to the beat here. All we've got is we've just got this little bit of three-dimensionality because we've got a pedal involved now. So that's all we're doing. We're just using that to bring a new dimension to our music, but we're doing it in a very, very simple way. Okay, now the advantage of those exercises is that if you went wrong, for example, if you held the pedal down without needing to, or where you didn't mean to, it's not going to clash, because if that's sounding and you're then going to hit the same note with the pedal down, it just resets the note. Because of the way the hammer hits the strings, it's just going to re-hit the same strings and start the notes all over again. It's not going to continue bleeding into each other. Whereas if I do a pentascale like this, and I put the pedal down, all those notes start to bleed into one another. So what we're going to do now is a pentascale like this. Again, that's starting on C. You can start on whatever note you want. I'm using the right hand here, so finger 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the trick is I'm going to play it staccato, all of it, like that. I'm exaggerating my movement. You don't have to lift your hand up quite that far. I'm just proving the point to you. Now I'm making it visually obvious to you that that's what I'm doing. But what we need to do now is put the pedal down on every single note. Now, the pedal has to go down on every single note. If I miss it and then put the pedal down, I just about caught it there. That was a fluke. I just about caught it, but even so, it's not what I want. I want this. I want that full sustain there. You know, I'm not going to catch it. I'm going to miss it. If I push that and I just miss it by a microsecond, gone. The moment's gone. So I need it to be right on the note, pedal down, straight away, like that. Now, in order to be able to do that, I need to have, and to keep as legato a scale as possible, I need to have a remarkably quick but quiet action on the pedal. So this is where it's very important at the beginning, when I was saying to get used to the pedal. It's very important to start lifting it up and find out exactly where it is that you need to lift it up to before you put it back down, and practice this sort of up and down, do motion, get it quick, get it quiet, get it, you know, find out exactly where the limits are that you need. You know, don't push yourself to limits that you don't need. Don't bring it all the way up if you only need to bring it to here, because that's wasted energy there. That's wasted time, wasted energy. So we're going to do this staccato, and we're going to snatch a very quick pedal like that. You're never going to get 100% staccato and 100% legato just by doing it from pedal power alone like this. You know, you can obviously blend your fingers together to get a nice staccato, nice legato out of it, but take it as slow as you can. Come down if you want. And what we're trying to do is basically make sure that none of those notes bleed into each other like that. We're trying to make sure that each note is clear in its own right. And then when you've done that, what we can obviously do is start to alternate between them. So just to give you a very basic example of that, if I were to staccato every other note and hold down, staccato, hold down, staccato, like that, and then pedal those staccato ones, and then you can come down obviously. Brilliant. And also, when you are playing staccato, make sure that you're staccatoing at the same dynamic. That's very tempting, you know. What a lot of people do when they start out with staccato is they get excited and they kind of go, okay, here's a scale that's legato, and here's a scale that's staccato, and they get very excited with that dynamic. And therefore, if you start to blend the two, mix the two together, what you get is this inconsistency. So make sure that you're giving exactly the same dynamic, or as close to as possible, to each individual one. So you know, you've got a fairly consistent sound like that. And that's it, and that's really simple pedal technique there. So really no trickery. You know, every pedal, every time you put it down and take it up, well, every time you put it down, certainly it's on the note, it's on the beat more or less. You might just have to snatch a few before you put it down just to cancel them out. But there's a very simple way that you can start incorporating it into your practice, and obviously you can make up your own exercises based from them as well. Get your left hand involved and get both hands involved, and start to, you know, even if you just do the same things, you know, in both hands, it gets you used to using 3 things, so one hand, and a foot. And it's always as well, I always say this, it's always as well to start thinking about your left foot as well. Don't overthink your left foot though. You know, when you're in the earlier stages of this video, when I said tap your right foot along on the floor before you bring the pedal into it, it's always a nice idea to start bringing that little bit of rhythm into your left foot as well. Obviously there is a left pedal, the una corda pedal. You will use that considerably less than you'll use the sustain pedal as a pianist, and if and when you do decide to use it, you will be holding it down for much longer passages, and you'll be leaving it off for much longer passages as well. So it's not quite as athletic, if you like, as your right foot. So don't get too bogged down in making sure that your left foot's really responsive as well. But focus certainly on the right foot and see how they go, and hopefully you'll start to get your pedal technique all the better for it.